Greetings, I am Wham Bam Duel, and after yesterday's ban list, I've been wanting to figure out how I'm going to continue to play one of my favorite decks, Branded. I know Branded is a deck that has a little bit of a stigma to it because it's been playable for so long, but I just love the deck's aesthetics, and I want to keep playing it as long as it's playable. I'll probably still play it after it's playable, even just because I like the deck. But I wanted to make a competitive build to go along with the new Fall 2024 ban list. Of course, they hit Branded Fusion to 1, and they didn't ban Sanctifier. Honestly, I think banning Sanctifier would have been the way healthier choice, rather than limiting Branded Fusion to 1. I talk about this a little bit in my ban list reaction over on Immortal Plays channel. I'll have that linked in a card up in the top right. But for now, let's get into the deck. So I'm gonna cover this first with the main deck, then the extra deck, then the side deck. So let's just start getting into it. With this video, I've sorted the deck in kind of an odd way, but I wanted to have it sorted by which cards go together, which cards search each other, or which cards are supposed to interact with each other. So in this entire top row of the main deck, these are all of our, well, almost all of our ways to Branded Fusion, and that is represented by any card with a green line on it here. That is a way to Branded Fusion, including just hard drawing the card itself, because that is a way to Branded Fusion. So we have 15 cards in the main deck that are a way to Branded Fusion, because it's how you play this deck. You either resolve Branded Fusion or you don't. So the first 15 cards in this deck are dedicated to getting to Branded Fusion. So you've got Keeper of Dragon Magic who searches it, Aluber who searches it, Tri-Brigade or Springans Kit who searches it. Left Arm Offering isn't really going to be your preferred way of searching it, but it's a way to it. Branded and High Spirits can get you to cards like Springans Kit, which searches it, so I'm counting it as a Branded Fusion searcher. And Branded Opening gets you to Aluber, which I would also count as a Branded Fusion searcher, because it gets you to a card that searches Branded Fusion. Next, we have the cards with the purple line, and these are cards that are either going to send our back row to the graveyard, or are the cards that we send to the graveyard in terms of back row. So we've got Branded in White, Branded Sword, and 2 copies of Branded Retribution. And of course, the cards that are going to be sending these to the graveyard are Bestial Saronir and Quem. And the white line on Saronir means that, so all the white lines mean that they are either a bestial monster or a card that can be placed on the field by Lubellion's effect. So like we've got Branded Lost and Branded Regained later on in the deck. Any card with a dark blue line on it means it's either an Albaz monster or a monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz. And going back up, any card with a red line on it is either a Despia monster or a card that can be searched by a Luber. Like, that specifically pertains to Despia monsters. So basically, Branded Opening, Branded in Red, and any of the Despia monsters. Any card with a gold line on it, like this Branded in White here, is either Left Arm Offering or a card that can be searched with Left Arm Offering, such as this next card, That Grass Looks Greener. Because this card for some reason got brought back, it is now pretty much the best way to play Branded, because you're pretty much gonna Left Arm Offering into it and send a bunch of cards to the graveyard. And you can send like your Saronir, who can send another back row if you didn't send that. You can send Bestial Lubellions to tribute Albion to summon them and start placing back row on the field. You can send anything with Left Arm Offering. It just comes down to luck. So this is pretty much the new best way to play the deck, even though it's not a very good deck anymore. I just wanted to make this video because I like the deck and I like playing it. Next up, these cards with the orange line going through them are cards that we're going to send off of Branded Fusion. We're either going to send Albaz and a Lubellion, or we're going to send Albaz and Gimmick Puppet Nightmare, because even though I don't like the Nightmare stuff, it's still the best way to play the deck is trying to turn skip the opponent. So I hope that we get rid of Sanctifier and or Nightmare soon enough. That way we can start playing more fun variants of this deck. At the same time, though, it will make the deck less good. Next up, we've got Branded Lost, which of course has the white line, which means it can be placed by Bestial Lubellion. Going into the next row, we got Fusion Deployment, which it is searchable by Left Arm Offering. It's not going to be your prime target to search, but it is searchable. And mostly for Fusion Deployment, if we're going first, it's going to be used to summon Cartesia. If we're going second, it's going to be used to summon Albaz, to try to fuse away with an opponent's monster. Next up, we got Druis Worm, Magnamut, and Baldrake, just because these are decent hand trap, kind of good stuff monsters that we can play along with Lubellion. Since we're playing Lubellion anyways, they might as well be played because they're all searchable. Then we've got Branded in Red and Ad Libitum. Ad Libitum's going to be our prime target for Branded in Red. That way we can, like, Branded in Red, add Ad Libitum back from grave to hand if it got sent off of grass, and then use Ad Libitum, a Mirror Jade, and another monster to make Guardian Chimera. Then Ad Libitum can bring back that Mirror Jade, and since Mirror Jade's is soft once per 2 turns, you can just use Mirror Jade's effect again. I forgot to put a line on this Blazing Branded King, but it's another card that can be searched through different ways, but it's just another kind of good stuff card that is powerful when you control a Albaz fusion. Next up, we've got Gold Sark, and the 2 monsters we want to banish off of Gold Sark being Tri-Brigade Mercurier and Despia Tragedy. And of course, any card that has this lighter yellow line, which is just these 2 cards, are cards that we're just going to want banished at all. So, like, if we open one of these with Left Arm Offering, that's a pretty good hand, because you can Left Arm for grass and get a search at the same time if there's a card you don't want in the graveyard. Like, Tragedy can easily get you Aluber, and so you then have access to both grass and Aluber if you open Left Arm Tragedy. And Mercurier can do the same thing for Springand's Kit. Then we've got Branded Regained, another Bestial card, another Branded card that can be placed on the field with Lubellion. Next 3 cards are our Triple Tax. Obviously, they're just good because your opponent's most certainly going to try to hand trap you, and this is just a good backup plan for if you do get hand trapped. And of course, the Triple Tack Thrust is also another way to Branded Fusion. Then, the last row of the deck is basically anti-hand trap support. We've got Instant Fusion, which will make Millenniumize Restrict for us, which will be able to stop any hand trap the opponent uses on us. It's also searchable by Keeper of Dragon Magic. We've got Called By, for obvious reasons, another hand trap stopper. And then we've got Crossout, and then the last 10 cards in the deck are all cards that, while we can use ourselves, are also good crossout targets. Of Nibiru, Ash of course, Droll, Valor, Lightning Storm, and Imperm. Moving on to the extra deck, these are also sorted in a way that lets me talk about them a little easier. So, we've got Mirror Jade, we've got Sanctifier, and we've got Grand Guignol. These are all our cards that we're gonna summon turn 1 and will likely be a part of our turn 1 end board in some way. Although, if Grand Guignol ends up in the graveyard, that's also pretty good. The cards highlighted in green are our combo pieces. Basically, this copy of Lubellion and this copy of Albion are good ways to make Mirror Jade. Or are main ways of making Mirror Jade turn 1. The cards highlighted in orange are for turn 2 and beyond. Guardian Chimera, Dragostapelia, and Mud Dragon. Mud Dragon's really there just as a super poly target, and of course any card highlighted in purple is a super poly target. I didn't highlight Sanctifier because having a branded mirror match isn't too likely to happen, but I did highlight Rinbrum as a super poly target because Beast Warrior, and Wing Beast are all, of course, much easier to come across than a spellcaster with the same attack and defense. The two cards highlighted in white are instant fusion targets. I wouldn't recommend going into Mud Dragon with instant fusion, unless it's absolutely necessary for some reason. More often than not, you should just solely do Millenniumize Restrict. The only reason I highlighted it Mud Dragon with white is because it's technically possible. Cards highlighted in light blue are the cards you want to send off Mirror Jade. We've got Sprind, we've got Rinbrum, and we've got an additional Albion. Then lastly, we've got the two cards that you can summon with Grand Guignol from the extra deck in Despian Queritus and Despian Lulu Willilith. They're both pretty decent. More often than not, I think you should go into Lulu Willilith instead of Queritus, because Queritus is also a super poly target if you have a Despia monster on your field. Lastly, we got the side deck. This one's pretty simple. All the cards highlighted with red are for going second. Of course, you don't need to side all of these. The Cosmics are only for if you're up against like really back row heavy decks. All the cards with blue are for going first, and all the cards with white are additional crossouts. It's pretty simple. This is definitely just the best way to play Branded anymore. I'd consider this probably a tier 3-ish, 3, maybe 4 strategy in this format, judging by what we've seen with Fiendsmith and Snake Eyes. And while Lacrima did get banned, it's still not going to stop us from seeing Fiendsmith combos or Snake Eyes stuff anytime soon. So that's what Branded looks like for this upcoming format, at least in my opinion. It's probably not the best build. Left Arm is most certainly a very controversial card to play. I could easily see someone take out, like, say, the 3 left arms and Queritus or something to add in Celestial, Dasher, Fusion Destiny, and a DPE if you wanted to play a small Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer package, which I wouldn't blame you for doing because it can also be searched with Keeper of Dragon Magic. So that's another way you can play this deck if you're not feeling right with left arm. Not feeling left with left arm, whichever way. I don't know. I honestly, like, it's something I'm really on the fence about. I'm thinking about whether or not left arm is really worth its insane cost, because you can banish Mercurier and Tragedy, but that's not going to happen super often, especially in a 60-card deck. Of course, if you mill the Tragedy off of the grass that you got with left arm, that's also like another reason for it. You're mainly playing left arm as a way to grass. You're not really using it for any of the other cards. The only reason I highlighted the other cards as targets for it is because it's technically possible, but it's definitely, grass is definitely your best card to search off of it. So really, turn 1, you're just trying to resolve Branded Fusion and or resolve grass. Obviously, grass before Branded Fusion. And then just hope you don't send all 3 copies of Albaz or something. But yeah, that's the deck. Those are my thoughts on it. Feel free to give your thoughts in the comments. I know I'm not the most competitive or well-known competitive deck builder. These are just my thoughts on what a competitive build could look like for Branded this until the next ban list. And yeah, I don't really have much more else I can say, so until next time, I've been Wham Bam Duel, and I'm always happy to see you.